passing that to my seed. We all want to be Jordan, but not the one playing Creed. Gotta play it right. I got some bad relationships. I pray to make them right. As fast as a lottery ticket.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? This your boy KapCity, previously known as Capital K. But for those that you have been with me since the beginning, y'all might have known me as Lil Keith from Lil Keith and Lil Kev. Talk about my childhood. I was born in Zimbabwe, raised in North Carolina, and then I moved back to Zimbabwe when I was about 11, 12 years old. And that was the birth of my music career. Being inspired by Lil Bow Wow, Lil Romeo, Tupac, Dr. Dre, that's when I felt the need that I could grab a pen and write rhymes for myself. And I ended up doing that. My brother started emulating everything that I was doing. And then as soon as I moved to Zimbabwe, that's when my music career started. It was me, Kevin, Fortune Mparuta. God bless, Fortune Mparuta, rest in peace. That's when we started our music career out here. It was fantastic. We collaborated on a song called Let's Party, and we were probably the youngest kids here in Zimbabwe to hit the hip hop scene fresh out of the States. And that's how we started our landmark here in this hip hop industry in Zimbabwe. We did that for quite a while. Sold a lot of cassettes, sold a lot of tapes. A lot of y'all might not know nothing about cassettes and tapes or whatever, but that's what we did back in the day. We used to sell those out hand to hand, school journeys, everywhere we went, we sold those out. And that was the birth of our popularity and our stamp and pioneer in this music industry. And then from there, obviously the boy grew up. I had to change the name from Lil Keith to now Capital K. Shout out to my brother Simba Tags. He's the one that gave me that name. Capital K came from basically, I used to talk about money a lot. That's just something I was braggadocious about growing up, you know what I mean? I went to St. John's College, hung around a bunch of cool dudes, and that's kind of the things that we used to talk about back then. So that's where the capital comes from, and the K is for my name, Keith. Capital K released a lot of mixtapes during high school. I released a Green album. I released The Other Side of Me. That's probably one of the greatest mixtapes that I did. We call that Toss'em. That's probably my most vulnerable project, and how I kind of expanded myself from being that guy who only talked about money to someone who started talking more about internal things that I actually felt, things that a lot more people could connect to, you know? And then after that, I moved to Cape Town. After graduating or after finishing high school at St. John's College, I then went to CPUT, that's the Cape Peninsula University of Technology, on a scholarship. I got my diploma in human resource development. From there, I started hosting nightclubs. The two have nothing to do with each other. Somehow I got back into the nightclub game and I started becoming the host MC for a club which a lot of you might know as Coco. I started doing that. I was the head MC. I did Ultra Music Festival 2015 with David Pinto and the whole gang. That was fun. So that kind of pioneered me and had me solidified within the music industry within South Africa. That's when I started getting notoriety from all the other players within the game, you know? So shout out to, you know, you talking about DJ C Live, you talking about Delez, you talking about, you know, RIP my brother AKA, you talking about Nadia Nakai, you talking about the whole fam, you know what I mean? So that's how I kind of acclimated myself in that space. And then from there, I kind of started releasing records, doing my thing, collaborating, mixing, hosting parties. I did a lot of hosting of parties. And then I decided to take my talent to South Beach, as LeBron would say. I then moved to Miami, Florida, and that's where I wanted to pursue my music career. Definitely a lot harder than I expected it to be, because everybody has this notion that as soon as you go to America and you're living in America, everything is fantastic. In fact, it was a total opposite. In fact, I went from here all the way down to here. I ended up having to do odd jobs that I never thought I'd ever have to do. I never ever thought I'd ever have to deliver a pizza to somebody, just given the background and the way I grew up. But sometimes life will humble you like that. So I had to do that. I was a delivery boy. I worked in a restaurant as a server. I also worked at a produce company where I had to be in charge of drivers and make sure I dispatched drivers. This is 6 days a week, earning $400. And for those of you who understand the American economy, $400 is very difficult to survive on. So I had to figure out something. So the woman that I was with at the time, we decided that we were gonna put together a plan that we were gonna, because we had a kid on the way. We had a kid, my little son, Kyrie. We had a kid on the way. So we had to figure out how we were going to, maintain our standard of living or get to a better standard of living. So that's when we developed the birria tacos, which was very popular on the West Coast. We brought that to the East Coast, and all we did was specialize on that specific taco. We had one item on the menu, and that's all we did all day, every day. We did that consistently day after day, week after week. We started in the kitchen. We put it on Facebook Marketplace. It was illegal to do that, but we still put it on the marketplace, and we just advertised it as something totally different. And then slowly but surely, people started contacting us through the messenger. So week 1 probably had 2 clients. Week 2, we had 3. Week 4, we had 6. It just started growing slowly but surely until eventually somebody called us and was like, yo, we want you guys to come and set up at our brewery. So we didn't know anything about how to set up at a brewery. We ended up buying all the equipment that we needed to buy. We set up at the brewery, and now we have 50 people buying our tacos, you know? And there was only one item on the menu, like I told you, and it was only beef tacos. A lot of people started suggesting we do chicken, so we introduced the chicken taco. A lot of people started suggesting we do a vegetarian option, so we did a black bean option. And that's what started building our menu to what it is now. The menu is still concise, but it's still based around that whole concept of a birria taco. We did that, lines started getting longer, the word started getting out, and then now more breweries started reaching out to us trying to figure out how they could book us. So instead of doing it once a week for Taco Tuesday, we started doing it Taco Tuesdays, and we started doing it on a Friday. So it was every Tuesday and Friday. This is when I decided to quit my job. All those jobs I told you about before, I decided to quit all of that and put everything into what me and her were doing at the time. So as soon as I did that, very scary, trust me, very scary, because the job gives you secure income, you know what I'm saying? But this one here, you don't know if people are gonna show up in your line. If it rains, are people still gonna come out and order your food? You have no idea. You're not even in control of that. But we just had the faith that if we dedicate ourselves and put everything that we have into this little operation, things were gonna work out. And so I did that. And then after that, we now had a full schedule from Taco Tuesdays to Thursdays to Fridays, and now on and off Saturdays. So the key with living in the States is if you have a job, which people say stands for Journey of the Broke. If you have a job, it's gonna be difficult for you to increase your standard of living. It's gonna be difficult for you to get from here to here because you're always gonna be in command and almost feels like you're building someone else's dream. So you kind of have to figure out that one thing that you're very good at that you can now build on and you can scale. And that's exactly what we did. We realized that we were good at making these tacos and these burgers. And then what we did was we just started scaling it and putting it in different places and setting up at places where food wasn't available. And that was the key. That was the key to where we are today now. So we went from that tent setup, which is the 4x4 canopy tent. We went from that to the brewery setup. From the brewery setup, we ended up buying trailers. So now we have the food trailers, which is the things you put on the bucky and you pull and you show up at concerts, corporate events, you show up at, all those type of big events. So you can just do your thing. So that's what we do. We run a full kitchen in those trailers, and I'm not gonna lie, business has been great. The customers are great because they've grown with us. They've been supportive. Their understanding of small business and how things are. And we've just been the same in terms of customer service, in terms of just making sure we gave every bite that a customer took tasted exactly like the last bite they took when they last had our food. So that's been my journey in the States in terms of business, in terms of finding some sort of foundation so that I'm able to take care of my family. So one of the major obstacles that I had in terms of being a successful entrepreneur was kind of being a jack of all trades and a master of none. So everyone has this ideology that you need multiple streams of income. So what people tend to do is they try and do many things all at once. But what happens is you're exhausting yourself in all these different lanes and services that it's hard for you to stick to that one thing that you're supposed to put your 10,000 hours in, And once we closed in on that and started focusing on the one thing, that's when you start perfecting it. And that's when people, customers, fans, whoever you want to call it, whether it's music too, if you want to do a bunch of different genres of music, but if you stick to that one genre and that connect with that one fan, that's what's going to multiply and have you having more fans and more fans devoted to you for that one single thing. So those were my obstacles, trying to do so many things: t-shirt business, taxes, food business, clothing business. It's a lot of different things that I was trying all at once. But once we focused on that one thing, that was the one thing that put the nail in the coffin. So I would say to all my young entrepreneurs out there, just trying to, whether you're in music or whether you're in any space in the entrepreneurial field, don't be a jack of all trades and a master of none. Figure out that one thing that you're really good at and stick to that and devote your time, energy, everything, blood, sweat, and tears into that one thing. And then once you've mastered that, the key is then to scale. That's really as basic as it is.